Hello from Urbana, Illinois, and thanks for reading the February 2020 issue of All About You. I'm Mayor Diane Marlin, and this month I want to talk to you about one of the simplest but most important actions you'll ever take as a resident of our community, and that is to be counted in the 2020 census. The census is required by the U.S. Constitution. It's a count of every person in the United States taken every 10 years. I'll tell you why this is so important to our city in a few minutes, but first let me emphasize one point, and that is this. If you live in Urbana on April 1st, you count in Urbana. Every person living in Urbana as of April 1st, 2020 must be counted in Urbana. This includes students at their campus addresses, people sharing households with family or friends, people without a permanent address, people born outside the U.S. Now this is important because about 20% of Urbana residents were born in a different country. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you're registered to vote, where your parents live, where you were born. What matters is if you're living in Urbana on April 1st, you count here. So here's the general timeline for the census and what you can expect to see over the next few months. In mid-March, you'll get a letter in the mail inviting you to respond online to the 2020 census. At that time, you'll also have the option of responding by mail or by phone. If you haven't responded to the census request, in late March through late April, you'll get a reminder letter and postcards and a follow-up paper questionnaire. By late April, if you haven't responded, you will get a paper questionnaire and another postcard. And after that, if you still haven't responded, there will be follow-up visits in person by census workers to each household that hasn't answered the census questionnaire. So why does a complete and accurate count matter so much? Why do we spend so much time counting people? First of all, it's because federal and state government use those population numbers to allocate funding and resources to local cities to pay for programs and services. Whenever you hear the term on a per capita basis, it means funding and resources are distributed based on a per person basis. And that means we have to know how many people are living in Urbana. If we don't count everybody living in Urbana, we won't receive our fair share of federal and state funding available for transportation, for streets, sidewalks, other infrastructure improvements, for housing, education, healthcare, neighborhood improvements, and many other critical programs. We all pay state and federal taxes, and we deserve to have our dollars spent in our local communities. In order to do that, we have to have an accurate count of our population. It's estimated that we'll lose $1,400 per person each year for every person who's not counted, and we're working hard to make sure that doesn't happen. Now here's a specific example. A portion of the state income tax that you and I pay is sent back to the cities, and that's based on a per person or per capita distribution. For the city of Urbana, it means we receive about $4 million every year as our share of the state income tax, and that's dollars that you and I pay. So that's why it's important that we have an accurate count of our population. And another important reason for being counted is that the census data is used for drawing electoral districts at all levels of government, from city council and county board to the U.S. House of Representatives. After the 2010 census, Illinois lost 1 seat in the U.S. House. After the 2020 census, we could lose 1 to 2 more seats, depending on how much of the population is counted. So we need to maintain representation in Congress, and that means counting every single person. Some people might be concerned about how the census data is going to be used. Your response to the census questionnaire is confidential and is protected by federal law. Your individual information is kept private and secure. And finally, here's a way you can help your community get a complete count. The Census Bureau is hiring people to visit households who don't respond to the survey. In this area, in Champaign-Urbana, Champaign County, they'll pay $20.50 per hour for several months this summer. If you're interested in working in this way, please visit census2020.gov/jobs for more information. And for additional information on Census 2020 locally, you can call 217-531-4338 if you have questions about filling out the questionnaire. Thank you so much, and remember, If you live in Urbana, you count in Urbana. We'll see you next month.